Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. So today we are back with some UP show and tell. Here you guys can see I have two Athearn Genesis Union Pacific 4014s. And you guys can see this is kind of the older one. This still had the coal tender. And then this is a little bit newer one, but still with the coal tender. Now, this kind of stuff is where you guys are going to see how crazy I get with some of this. I got these back when they were working on restoring, or not restoring, just getting the 4014 to move. Yeah, okay. From the Pomona location to Cheyenne. I watched every video that I could on that, saw a lot of the pictures that the steam crew was posting during getting it prepped for the move, watching it go through the move, and I thought it would be really cool to have both the move version and the restored version. Now, at the time, this is just fresh. Of course, the 4014 wasn't even close to being restored yet, because they went through the 844 restoration, then the shop restoration, and then the 4014 restoration. So I had to do a little of my own guessing game on some of the stuff, and so just to let you guys know, this is well before they actually had the 4014 restored when I did these. So here we have, try to get my light a little bit better here, two 4014s, and you guys will notice there's some differences in how these look. So I recreated the actual move version, or the best I could. I am a little limited with I can't remove the jacketing to expose the stay bolts, and the internals in the tender don't really allow you to actually have a coal section that goes deep into the tender because of the panels and just the tender structure inside. So I was a limit, so forgive me, it's not 100% perfect. I am still working on something that I've put off for quite a while, is I still need to make the straps for these steam pipes, those steam delivery pipes there. But yeah, I thought it would be a really cool thing to do both the move version and the clearly not yet restored version, which would be this one back here. I had to get a oil insert for the tender. This one did not come with dual dynamos. I had to get that. And then that was pretty much it. The other thing I had to switch around was the front. It had the oil coolers, the old style oil coolers that were up in the railings here, and I had to find the parts to get that down just beneath the deck, right in front of it. But we'll start with the move version. So, you might be asking, okay, if this is the move version, why was I so worried about everything inside the tender to where I couldn't model that? Well, I wanted the lights to work. So, I'll show you guys. This is 100% a dummy locomotive. Completely free rolling. No longer has a motor in it, no longer has gearing in it. Completely free rolling. And yet I still have the plug and the panels in the tender. Now the reason for that is when they were moving 4014, they still had the lights working on it, and I wanted that on mine, so I left all the panels, all the pickups for the wheels, all the pickups for the tenders, the panels in the locomotive and the tender, and I removed the speakers, I removed the motors and the gearing. Other than that, it is still completely powered. It is just not mechanically powered. So I can still have the fun of actually having to tow it. I didn't want this to be a running unit. I could have just pulled the speakers out and still had it be under its own power, but what fun is that? I want... when I've actually ran this at the old club that I used to be a part of. When I ran it, I wanted the locomotives to actually struggle to pull the big heavy 4014. Sealed up the stacks on it how the real one was. Like I said, I'm limited to what I can do as far as like boiler detail goes, so I kind of have to live without that. And you know, same for the tender. Couldn't really do too much about that. Other than that, little things I did was some paint detailing on some of the marker lights in the back, weathered couplers, painted wheels, and then you guys can kind of see I did a kind of a glossy black on these bearing caps because they did remove those caps. They cleaned them when they serviced them, and some of them were a little bit shiny looking, so I kind of replicated that on the tender. And then of course the steam pipes that were stored on the back of the tender. I am still planning on doing, I think there was like a little generator up here too. Still trying to work on some of that. It's just I have so much stuff I work on. I kind of bounce around on projects, so it's been quite a few years like this. So eventually we'll get around to finishing that. The locomotive itself, we actually took the time to put the little ID tag on there, that little silver bit right there. I didn't paint anything up too fancy on this. I didn't weather it by any means necessary, but I wanted to make it just not super shiny and stuff like that. I did do the kind of museum painted rods. As you can see, you have the plated rods on the running one, and then the painted rods on the move version. And you guys can see I actually went and I stripped the paint off of the bearing areas, or where the screws are on the model, for the connecting rods and the eccentric there. Stripped the paint off of those parts because when they checked them out, they stripped the paint off and cleaned them really nice. So I kind of did that. You guys can see the piston rod is no longer connected to the crosshead as it should be. They removed all that. The valve gearing, or no, the valve oil is those rods are disconnected because they did not need to oil the valves when they were removing it. And then the big gaps of where the steam pipes used to connect to help it to help the old version articulate a little bit better. And then of course have the front coupler out on the front. Kind of that nice blue color that they had on the marker lights on it. No dynamos on it. Flip this around. Now on this side we left the mechanical and bearing oilers hooked up because that's how they had it on the real one. So both of those oilers are hooked up on this side, just like it was on the move version. Another little silver ID tag there. And that's really all I did to get the move version. Fairly simple stuff. It is kind of fun to have a free rolling one, and it rolls really nice. No damage and nothing out of place when I took it apart and removed a lot of the internal components. Now, the running one, since this wasn't running, I was kind of taking some guesses and some ideas off of what the 3985 looked like when it was running. So I took a guess and figured they were going to put dual dynamo on it, which they did. So that was nice. Of course, they turned it into an oil burner, so that wasn't even a hard thing. As far as little extra add-ons on the tender here, we have some of the I added some of the water piping for the tender, MU plug, MU hoses, and then of course the main brake pipe hose. Also painted out these details. Other than that, we painted the caps, the bearing caps, silver. I was really hoping they were going to do that, and they did, so that was something I also kind of guessed right on. One of the very little things I did not guess correct on was I kind of just went with the same placement of the little ID tag there. If that'll focus, that little ID tag on there. They actually tucked it up underneath here somewhere and they painted it black, so that's one thing I guessed wrong on. Of course, we took the ash pans off. You guys can see the ash pans are still on the move version, and then the running version the ash pans are off because it's no longer a coal burning locomotive. Of course, all the oilers are hooked up on everything. This is as it should be. Another thing I did not guess right on was I didn't plan on them. At first I thought I did a okay job because when they first ran this, they didn't have these covers on the cylinders, and it was just black. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, then the past few times that it's ran, they have since put these covers on, and they're nice shiny chrome. So I'll have to paint those. Little hose paint detail there. I did paint the pilot truck wheels black and silver. Painted the rims on these. If you're familiar with Athearn, they don't paint the rims on these. The center of the wheel, pretty much the whole face of the wheel, is a plastic part, and then the rim itself is a metal part where it picks up the electricity through. And those are not painted, so I painted those without painting the actual part that rides on the rail. Did the silver on the bearing caps on the trailing truck. Also painted those wheels. You can't really see the sides of them too well, but they are painted. A detail that you don't really see is I did red on the interior of the bell. I did that on that one as well. Did the nice kind of just silver on the marker lights. Little details, nothing really that extravagant. Get to the other side here. And pretty much the same thing, just painted out the little details on the oilers. Ash pans are gone. So just for some differences here, we'll kind of move some stuff around. So there you guys can see the difference between the move version and the running version. Now I know I should have a hose. Eventually I'll get around to that. But they either switched to a black hose or they painted the red hose. If some of you are familiar with watching this thing move from California to Cheyenne, Wyoming, when they stopped in the West Colton yard, they did more maintenance on it, more checking on it, and within that time they either painted the air hose that they had strung across it black, or they switched it out for a black hose. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure what I want to do with the hose on that yet. I kind of had this as the later move version, so but yeah, guys, that's my two 4014s. This one completely still works, sound, DCC, all that good stuff. This still has DCC, just for the lights though, solely just for the lights. And I do have some of the equipment for the move. I have, of course, I have the diesels that were part of that move. All the diesels that were a part of that move. I don't have any concrete hoppers for the early move, but I do have. That would be the move from when they picked it up at the Pomona location to West Colton. They had like 12 concrete hoppers. I don't have any concrete hoppers, but I do have the flat cars and, of course, all of the other support equipment for the later part of the move. So that's kind of why I'll either not put a hose on it at all, or I will put a hose on it and paint it black. We'll just kind of, some stuff I'm still kind of working on. I mean, clearly it's an unfinished project, but it is finished enough to run and work and everything. Of course, on the running version, we don't have the front coupler out. On the move version, we do have the front coupler out, so that way I can tow it from both ends, like it was. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Just my two 4014s, the move, what I call the move version, and then the modern day running version that I have to go back and kind of change a few things on, because I just basically had to guess, because none of us really knew exactly what they were going to do. I was kind of afraid that they were going to paint the tires white, and I hate doing that. I've done that on a lot of steamers that you guys will see. I have a handful of steam engines that do have the tires painted white. It's not terrible to do, but if you want to make it look really nice, it's kind of a pain in the ass. And you guys will see that. I have a few sets of these, basically what I call the museum version and the running version. Only this is a little different because this is more of the move museum, whatever you want to call it, and then the running version. But yeah, and you guys know this is definitely pre-restoration. They did come out with a actual excursion edition. Like this part's kind of gold on the box, and it actually shows all the modern day updates on the locomotive that it comes with. So both of these had to be modified. Of course, the move version had to be heavily modified, just with certain things, and then just a couple little add-ons and switches to this one to get it to an updated. Like I said, I got to go back. I got to paint these nice bright silver, since I don't really have a way to like really chrome them out. I have a really nice silver that I use for that stuff. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I do have to finish up, like I said, a couple things on the back of the top of the tender here, where the water hatches are. Just gotta make my little straps, and then I think there was like air tanks or something up here with a little either compressor or a generator. So still some stuff I gotta finish on that one of these days. I'll get around to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. The move version and the modern day running version of 4014, and it was really cool to do these. 4014 was back at Cheyenne by the time I started working on these, so I had a lot of nice reference material for as far as like pictures and videos for making the move version look correct. And then, like I said, I just kind of had to take a guess at how the finished version was going to look, since we were quite a few years away from seeing that yet. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.